Recently, I was watching FIFA World Cup, and it made me wonder, if FIFA ever hosted World Cup on the moon, how hard would a player have to kick a soccer ball to launch it into a permanent orbit? If you ask a physicist how to put a soccer ball into a low lunar orbit, they will tell you that you need to accelerate the ball to about 1.68 kilometers per second. That is roughly 3,760 miles per hour, or about Mach 5 on Earth. If you ask a professional soccer player to do this, they will fail. The fastest recorded kick in human history belongs to Brazilian midfielder Ronnie Heberson, who clocked a free kick at 58 meters per second. That is remarkably fast if you are a goalkeeper trying to protect your face, but it is only about 3% of the speed required to reach orbit. Even if Erling Haaland channeled all of his energy into a single volley, he's not hitting escape velocity. Even on the moon, where there is no air resistance to drag your foot down, your muscles simply cannot contract fast enough. If you tried to swing your leg with enough force to reach 1.68 kilometers per second, the chemical bonds holding your femur together would fail. Your leg would experience forces similar to being struck by a commercial locomotive, and it would detach from your hip before making contact with the ball, which would be a red card. Though finding a referee willing to jog over and show it to your severed leg might be difficult, there is an even more fundamental problem with the physics of this scenario. In orbital mechanics, any orbit is a closed loop. If you launch an object from the surface of a planet or moon, that loop must, by definition, eventually return to the exact point where it started. Without a secondary rocket engine to circularize the orbit once it reaches space, your soccer ball will simply fly around the moon and slam back into the dirt right behind you about 100 minutes later. To actually get the ball to stay spaceborne with a single kick, you have to kick it hard enough to escape the moon's gravity entirely. That speed escape velocity is 2,380 kilometers per second. Since human legs are out, we will have to build a specialized pneumatic piston kickbot, anchored deeply into the lunar bedrock, and place a standard FIFA-approved Adidas soccer ball in front of it. We've programmed the machine with Cristiano Ronaldo's exact shooting posture, but we've tuned the engine to deliver Lionel Messi's absolute peak acceleration. To accelerate a 450-gram soccer ball to required speed during the brief moment of foot-to-ball contact, which lasts about 8 milliseconds, the ball has to accelerate at roughly 300,000 meters per second squared. This is about 30,000 times the force of Earth's gravity. At this scale, materials stop behaving like sports equipment and start behaving like fluids. The moment the steel boot touches the ball, the back half of the ball is pushed forward at Mach 7. The front half of the ball, however, does not move yet because the speed of sound through polyurethane is too slow to carry the message. The air inside the ball is compressed so violently and quickly that it undergoes extreme adiabatic heating, momentarily reaching temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. For a fraction of a millisecond, the ball glows with a brilliant internal blue-white light before the synthetic leather vaporizes into an expanding cloud of superheated carbon gas. Instead of a spectacular goal kick, you have created a small directional thermobaric explosion. To make this work, we must swap the ball for a hollow sphere of grade 5 titanium. When the pneumatic boot strikes it, the 130,000 Newton reaction force hits a major flaw. Lunar gravity is only 1/6 of Earth's, drastically reducing structural friction. The recoil violently shears the anchors right out of the ground, sending the multi-million-dollar kicking rig into a wild, slow-motion somersault across the stadium. It looks remarkably like Neymar Jr. trying to draw a foul in the penalty box, except this time, the structural damage is real. Meanwhile, the impact unleashes a nightmare. Without air resistance to slow things down, a massive plume of lunar dust made of jagged, electrostatic shards of volcanic glass expands outward at supersonic speeds, sandblasting the stadium dome, shredding VIP spacesuits, and obliterating the VAR booth. If the ball somehow clears the horizon, it's still doomed. Massive underground gravity anomalies, called mascons, act like potholes on a highway, tugging at the low-orbiting titanium ball until its trajectory decays and it plummets right back down. Eventually, the ball will crash back into the gray dust at thousands of miles per hour, miles away from the ruined stadium. It will leave a fresh, centimeter-wide crater next to a discarded Apollo lunar rover. And back at the stadium, amid the shattered glass and the hissing, depressurizing spacesuits, the referee will slowly raise a yellow card not for the destruction of the lunar colony, but because the ball technically went out of bounds.